In 1902, George Méliès released the film A Trip to the Moon, the first ever science fiction film. You know this film is fiction because the moon is alive, it doesn't do that. This, of course, is a reference to Griefer Moon from Hype. Object shows, what are they?
Your final challenge is to stop me from killing myself. Oh my god.
This video is not going to be like a Wikipedia summary of object shows. This will mostly be my opinions on each show and what it's like to generally be involved in the community, so I assume you're relatively part of it if you're watching this, but if you've never seen anything, I'll give you this real quick. They're indie animated competition shows, think something similar to Total Drama Island. Objects with vastly different personalities participate in a competition show where they compete in challenges, and at the end a team usually goes up for elimination, which are usually decided by online voters. Some object shows are more story based where there's no competition and it's just a story with characters who happen to be objects. Also, fans of object shows who actively watch, engage, and maybe even participate in the community are considered to be in the object show community, the OSC. Okay, from now on there will be no Wikipedia type readings, there will be spoilers of each show I discuss, just look at all the timestamps for anything that interests you, and also I'll be doing a tier list throughout the video where I rank all of the object shows I have currently watched. Let's just go. So this video is about going into the OSC in 2026, but I actually got into it in October 2025 when my friend Dishwasher showed our friend group a bunch of BFDI clips. Specifically, I remember seeing a clip of BFDI Season 1's finale, and I think Evil Leafy might have been the hardest I've laughed at something in a while. I don't know, just a character who's an evil version of the same character and it's just evil red is really funny to me. It has the same vibe as Darkflyer and Antisepticeye and Evil Chazington.
Hello, I'm Evil Ch.
Anyhow, eventually we watched our first object show in full, HFJ1. Already people are mad. This is my favorite object show that I've watched and genuinely one of my favorite pieces of art that I've seen in recent memory. Now here's the thing, I already know tens of hardcore object show fans are saying this was not a good first watch because you don't get some of the satirical elements of the show in relation to how object shows are made and ran. And like sure, those elements are easier to see if you've been in the OSC, but I feel like there's still themes here not just exclusive to object shows but also in reality shows / running a show in general. You can watch this series without having seen any other object show and still come out feeling like you've seen a ridiculously well done piece of art that can be analyzed and unraveled. I don't need to see the infamous object show to understand why one works.
One is not enough, but two is too much.
If there's anything you, a non-object show viewer, should watch from this video, it's this show. Again, tens of people are mad. Anyhow, spoiler time. Bro, there's so much to talk about in this show that I honestly one day will make a full HFJ1 analysis, but all I'll say right now is that the writing, the character arcs, the character dynamics, and the music are all such strong parts of this show. I think a lot of hardcore longtime object show fans don't consider this their favorite because of the animation / style being too basic. I do think some other object shows look better in terms of scope, look, and animation, but I mean not very much people worked on animating this, and the soul of the show is still very much its own. Like the look of the show matches the style and tone it's going for so well. And speaking of the show being its own, wow, this is unlike most object shows you'll typically watch. Something I find underappreciated with one is that it still has that playful charm and comedy most object shows are known for, but the way the dialogue is written, the way characters act and evolve feels so eerily real. Like all of the characters are just common people and it's already hard enough for most writers to write the average person speaking normally. To put them in these extraordinary conditions and still have them feel like believable living characters is really insane. I also think the show doesn't really take itself too seriously because even in the second half where things feel more serious, there's both comedic moments to balance out the tone while the character arcs remain strong and sensible. Like every decision these characters make feels like a decision that's in line with their character. Are they the smartest decisions? No, but people, especially these characters, aren't always the smartest. The way mistakes in the show have actual consequences attached to them, you don't even see that in most big budget live action shows. This incredibly specific, bleak yet balanced realistic tone is complemented perfectly by that soundtrack, which is less electrically energetic than most shows but full of fantastically contemplative piano ballads and playful melodies. I have more to say about this series, but I'll say that in a future video. For now, I'll just put the show in S tier. Now before we continue to the big one, let's talk about... So more than most indie communities I've seen, the way people talk about object shows and their quality in the OSC is so different. Like I glazed HFJ1 because I really do like it that much. Some people really don't. Like I'm sorry, before watching 1, I didn't watch BFDI, II, Object Universe, Object Tooniverse, every Troc entry, Triangular Tournament. But also, some people just don't like HFJ1 because of various reasons, and that's perfectly fine and valid. I think this is one of the most opinionated online communities, and you can see that as the community being more divided, but I really don't. I personally like how much freedom of opinion is allowed. No two people in the OSC will have the same tier list, and no one will exactly agree with the tier list I make in this video. Of course, it's bad when you're too negative all the time, then you start wondering why you're even in the OSC or a fan of a certain show to begin with, if all you talk about is how much you hate these things, and obviously it's bad to just dislike people for their opinions. It's fine to disagree and even be mad at their opinions, but like some spar constantly, and I think that's a waste of everyone's time instead of arguing and debating the qualities of a show in a reasonable way. I think with the OSC, this is one of the most taste-focused fan bases. I don't even know if that's the right term, but hear me out on this. A lot of people don't like Teapot because they'll consider it angst slop. It's too angsty, it's too serious. Object shows can be serious, but it should be, you know, good. Some people just don't like how the show is written. I won't mention the category of people who dislike the show because of LARPers. There's probably some HFJ1 LARPers, but 1, they are definitely not in the OSC actively, and 2, I don't think we should just be concerned with the status of how cool it is to like any piece of media. If something like a show is spreading harmful beliefs, yeah, make fun of someone for liking it, but if the show's just bad, you can also make fun of them within reason, because it's kind of fun. But like, if you like the show itself and are concerned about saying you like it because so many other people either don't like it or are LARPing it, I think you should just say you like it. F these people, bro. Cameron Winter quote. Anyway, some people won't like HFJ1 because it's a serious show, it's just not what they're looking for. There's still so many shows out there. Some people just want a decent cast, but if the animation / style is sweeping and different, they'll flock to it, they'll love that. Some people just want a funny and full of personality show. Some people want the show whose energy and pacing is unmatched, unique, yet familiar. Some people want the angst and have everything be serious, or are just really focused on great story writing. And some people want shows that conceptually have never really been done before in other object shows. All of these types of shows, all of these tastes are valid. They're all subjective opinions, stuff they want to see in a show, but it's insanely beautiful to me that the categories I just named aren't even a fraction of everything the OSC has to offer. This community makes so much brilliant stuff. Like BFB No Split. Alright, before I even say what I think about the show, I want to break down the BFDI release timeline, not for anyone who doesn't know it, but because I find it really funny. Get ready for this. So, Battle for Dream Island, the first ever object show, begins running in 2010 by the Huang twins, Carrie and Michael, when they were only 12 years old. In 2012, Season 2, BFDIA, begins production before suddenly stopping after 5 episodes in 2013 due to the Huang twins being busy and other stuff. Then in 2016, Season 3, IDFB begins, and the show is put on hiatus again after 1 episode. Then in 2017, Season 4, BFB, known by fans as Pre-Split, begins, and then in 2020, they decide to split the show, meaning that Season 4 will continue, being renamed to Battle for BFB, also known by fans as Post-Split, but Season 5, named The Power of 2, will also begin at some point being 2021, then Post-Split ended, and the next episode of Teapot was 2022, then in 2023, they started Season 2 again, so Season 5 and Season 2 ran at the same time, then in 2026, Season 6, BFDI, began as Season 6, but it was actually a mini pseudo-prequel series to Season 1, then Season 6 ended, and now Season 5 and Season 2 are continuously running, while Season 3 is still left out to open and will probably be made at some point. Did you get all that? Of course not, but if you've been watching this show for a while, this insane timeline is just with you, it's great. But anyway, the object shows that created object shows, is it good? Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Then I want to endure the torment that I deserve!
Whoa, what a masochist, Nickel. You didn't need to... You don't have to be so harsh.
Season 1 of BFDI being made entirely by 2 12-year-olds and like having decent animation and plotlines and jokes that are actually pretty funny is crazy.
I do. When I win, there'll be a big sign in front saying Penn Island, no spaces, all caps.
But yeah, Season 1 is alright. C tier. Already people are mad. Listen, I get all the charm of early Season 1 with its quirky choices writing, animation, and audio editing wise, like some tracks are just reversed and panned to a certain channel for no reason, and it's kinda whimsically beautiful. Like yeah, the pacing, editing, and like character composition, if we want to complain about that, is weird, but they were like 12, and like everything about the show just screams early internet charm, and it's really just beautiful, but there are better things. Better things like Season 2. Starting Season 2 of BFDI is just starting something better. Better animation, better writing, better jokes.
Eliminated contestants must be killed. Wait, what?
And the season has Puffball, the best BFDI character. Anyway, the episodes they made before they took that 3-year break, Season 2A, also known by fans as Pre-Hiatus, is just golden. I would change nothing about these episodes because that specific internet era's charm feels completely perfected here. It's so good. You really feel like all the elements of the show with the characters, team dynamics, character abilities, the recovery centers, characters doing things for ridiculously long periods of time for some reason, is just entirely established here and for some moments even perfected here. This whole series, especially episode 5, feels like one of those foundational pieces for not just future BFDI episodes, but also for every object show you see now. It only makes sense for them to not work on the show 3 years after this. The hiatuses in BFDI must have sucked for the fans, but I feel like a lot of it was reasonable and justified. This is an indie animated show by young people who were focused on school. YouTube shut down their monetization too, like whatever happened there? And like life just happens that way, of course. This beloved indie animated project will take time. Love takes miles, love takes years. Cameron Winter quote. Regardless though, timeline and watch order stuff does get very confusing very quick. For this discussion, I'm actually gonna go release order and take a look at IDFB. Good episode. I don't know what IDFB will be like, assuming they will make season 3. Like if they want to follow the rule they're doing with post hiatus, the episodes canonically taking place 10 years before their release, IDFB will have to be made between October 2026 to November 2027. Me and my friend Chris have talked about the direction IDFB could possibly approach with all the different lore it establishes already in the first episode. From the spaceships in the mountain's reflection in the intro to the golf ball flashback and mysterious shadow, episode 1 sets IDFB up as a very different, very story-based BFDI season. That coupled with the shorts that each tease IDFB having a vastly different style, one of which was written and directed by Cheesy HFJ, creator of 1, indicates that IDFB will be a really cool, different season. Hopefully. I'll put this in B tier just because of the one episode. Let's talk about BFB, the first season I watched fully. Pre-Split is another one of those foundational works next to BFDIA pre-hiatus that defines the OSC. Almost everyone wants to capture that lightning bolt energy present in Pre-Split, the first episode's iconic way of introducing characters both new and old, and all their quirky personalities, abilities, and dialogue. The way there's emotionally impactful moments and character arcs that manage to actually be hard-hitting and engaging within this massive cast of 64 contestants. Especially episodes 11 to 15, this series cemented itself as a colorfully superb and memorable show. Really easy A tier for me. And then it happened.
Like, I don't think anyone knew what was going to happen in those 30 days.
Hey, jealous.
And then we come to, like, post-split.
So, post-split. It wasn't good. The list of issues is endless, but I'll give them credit. Their nightmare schedule of uploading weekly and having to make episodes at an impossible pace. You'll see these Carrie react videos and he's just talking about how he wishes he could have written more interesting parts if he just had the time. So yeah, like they were under unfortunate circumstances while making this, but the character arcs are just not good. The dialogue is mostly boring. Even my first time watching this before I knew any major fan opinion, I was like, wait, why am I not finding these episodes interesting anymore? There are glimpses of something good here. There are some funny moments, but a majority of post-split is marred down by strikingly poor writing decisions made even more disastrous by the elimination order, which wasn't their fault at all, and bad viewer voting is an issue throughout the show. But still, why'd you have to send away all the characters in the BRB so arcs just suddenly stop? A majority of the cast feels flanderized, jokes just don't land or work. Flip a clip anime, and the final few episodes are genuinely just some of my least favorite episodes in the show ever. They're genuinely so terrible that they're kinda hilarious in retrospect.
Because we're mad, okay? We're mad at you for you come in and make us compete for these prizes and you hurt us and you're mean to us. And then we all choose to still compete for your prize and you continue to hurt us.
Characters just running around, the 4 arc ending like this, being forgiven way too easily and not really doing anything too interesting with the aspect of him being a fan of object shows. Like they could have had a really meta storyline here, but it's just so underutilized and poorly executed. And who could have guessed that Flower won? Was this a creation of evil? No, all the animators, writers, workers, even the Flip-A-Clip ones, they did the best they could in as little time as they had, but wow, this is bad. F tier. Let's go to the next season, The Power of 2. Already people are mad, and I didn't even say anything yet. Some people genuinely get so heated while talking about the season, like, if you like it, you're a slop-consuming idiot who doesn't know anything about good storytelling, and if you hate it, then you constantly refer to it as Ang Slop Larp, and Teapot personally killed your grandma, and everyone on the team should be fired right now. Like, I am genuinely hesitant to talk about this, because people get so overheated over this season. Wait, I just repeated myself, and also said genuinely too much, and also said like too much. Does Elliot Online know how to write? Anyway, here's my genuine opinion as a newer viewer of object shows. That's my perspective on this. I like the season. In my mind, I divide the season into parts because every episode is so long. It truly feels like the first season that is a full-blown television-like production the whole way through. Teapot 1 and 2, the Satoki episodes, are really, really brilliant. They're funny, they're engaging, they're heartfelt. Feels like a refined pre-split. Teapot 3 to 8. So these aren't good. I really don't think they're like post-split levels where I was just bored the whole way through, but I definitely think this is a slog to get through compared to other episodes, and some episodes are just plain bad. Some challenges just don't make sense and the jokes just don't hit. However, there are much better parts in these episodes compared to post-split. The Puffball arc, if you're curious, one of my faves is, by the way, with Golf Ball and her being eliminated early, which is paid off later, is genuinely great. She's always been one of my favorite characters, and her getting this arc in Teapot is really, really awesome to see. Besides that, I think the lightning elimination,
I'm so mad
I could just explode.
But anyway, after this episode, I'm willing to argue every Teapot episode, not you, has been at least decent. Are there episodes that could have been easily better written and paced with regard to future episodes or the continuity of the series? Yes. Are there episodes that just aren't as interesting or funny despite some great stuff happening? Yes. But there are some really special episodes here that are just landmarks. Teapot 9 and 10 being interesting, different challenges with great character moments. When I watched these episodes for the first time, I was like, wow, this season could be good. Teapot 13 has some of the best stylistic choices in animation in the show. Teapot 16 has some of the strongest character moments in the show. The pencil/pen stuff is genuinely moving to me. Teapot 19 is one of the most engaging episodes all throughout. Even the most recent episode, Teapot 22, is just really fun, and again, puffball. So yeah, I think Teapot is pretty good. B tier. Okay, now we're going back, but technically going forward, to the season that, as of this video's release, is going to literally end. BFDIA post-hiatus. This is genuinely something beautiful. A lot of people don't like early post-hiatus because it drags on too long, and I kinda agree, but honestly, I still find even early post-hiatus really fun. Just characters roaming around, switching allies, strengthening as partners, random happening, the whimsically quirky dialogue and jokes turned up to a max for a faster pace compared to other seasons makes the entirety of BFDIA a triumph in indie animation and writing. This season is just so fun to watch, and after the early episodes, I'd argue that literally every BFDIA episode has been good to great, and some of its highs are just the best we've ever seen in the OSC. Episode 14's challenge coupled with Pin's return, episode 18 could still be considered the best episode in the show with how funny it is and how much iconic character development occurs in this episode, and episode 20 to 24 is the most generational run this show has ever seen. 4 episodes that I would all consider amazing, and I find it so fire how much the smaller cast is so well utilized. To me, these episodes never felt slow or overbearing. Okay, one of them is not as good, but instead they're so exciting and full of soul and character. All of the storylines and character arcs here are fantastic and well written. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Needle. Needle's storyline of being independent after switching so many allies, and the BFDIA 23 moment with Pencil and Needle. I hope she wins BFDIA 25, and I really do have hope that BFDIA 25 will be a stellar finale, because I've called episodes 23 and 24 my favorites ever since they released for how wildly funny and unique they are. I'm hoping episode 25, when it releases, does the same. BFDIA as a whole season gets an S tier. Many people might disagree, but now is genuinely the best time to join the OSC. Not only are there new shows being made with full teams that are high quality and full of so much soul, but even the bigger shows that used to have scheduling issues of the past are now much more consistent in terms of their teams and releases. Like, for how much people complain about BFDI's quality, which are all valid personal opinions, we're getting an episode like every other 3 months, and that is genuinely wild, especially for indie animation. Also, I think there might be some bias with people saying a couple of years ago was the best time to be in the OSC and they're like young adults. Like, yeah, life was more fun and carefree when you were 14 watching Pre-Split for the first time. But I also think the direction the OSC has gone has just not been that favorable for some people. Many like object shows the way they were before, mostly fun challenge shows that didn't have too much stake. Sometimes the world ending every Teapot episode is just not what people want to see.
Wow, getting strong, Grassy.
And it isn't helped that some of the more serious stuff in the OSC is enveloped in writing issues and inconsistency. Like I said before, some people don't mind when an object show decides to go more emotionally serious or even angsty, but they do mind if it's, you know, good. I already talked about HFJ1, but as I'll talk more later, I personally think stuff like II Season 2, The Nightly Manor, and many other shows are really good when they talk about serious subjects. I just think it needs to be more balanced, and here's where we'll get to the discussion of object shows being for babies, which I will save for later because I'm an evil bastard. That's what Mifun says, right? Okay, Inanimate Insanity. This is the one with Suitcase in it, so already it's better than BFDI. Season 1 to me is fine. I think the really early episodes are boring, but again, there's the charm of early indie animation made by people who aren't entirely the best at what they're doing, but by God, they are trying. Season 1 of II, unlike BFDI, has very rough animation throughout the season, and yeah, it's charming, but
You know, you could be a little nicer to Taco. It's not her fault.
Well, you're the one that chose her, and she's such a...
But like BFDI, I do think it finds its footing in later episodes, writing-wise, kinda, and the show forms a much more concrete identity moving forward. Still, I'm gonna give Season 1 a D tier. Season 2, however, this is where it starts. Every episode of Season 2 is good, but starting with episode 7, I'm gonna say almost all of Season 2 is just great. That musical number literally hit like crazy, and I love that they don't do musical numbers too often in Season 2 because it makes their appearances hit so much harder. They literally feel straight out of a musical, even when the show is so heavily dialogue focused focus, and none of them even feel out of place in the show. It flows so well. And speaking of dialogue, easily the biggest strength of season 2 all throughout is the writing. The suitcase, nickel, balloon, baseball team, the knife development, duos like Paintbrush and Lightbulb, Fan and Test Tube, Taco's arc, all of these are handled so well, and there's even more I just haven't even mentioned, like MePhone 4. The hostess storyline is actually good and a major emphasis throughout the season, instead of something that feels periodically placed at random moments, only becoming important when it needs to be. I can't decide if Taco or Suitcase is my favorite, probably leaning towards Suitcase because her whole arc, her character, her interactions with others, every insane twist and choice goes hard.
Nickel, I voted for you tonight.
I think that's something I have to praise with season 2 especially. Like, in regards to writing, characters do stuff I genuinely don't expect but makes sense. The twists this show decides to take are genuinely daring from a writing standpoint, but they manage to consistently pull it off. Even by the end, that insane twist some consider convoluted and insane, I found to be great meta-commentary on how a lot of object show media is created by young kids who grow up and realize they want to do something more but have to utilize conventions they made years ago. But also, it's just a good story in general. I love the finale. II Season 2 is an easy S tier. Now, Season 3, oh boy.
Oh boy!
So I actually like Season 3 conceptually, but it doesn't need to be 6 hours, Jesus Christ. I think with Season 3 they wanted to really focus on writing, and I thought a lot of the writing was great. It is such a well-written season throughout. The challenges and characters are funny. Some of the newcomers I really love, like Clover and Cabby and Nickel. The dialogue is really awesome.
He wants to make a boys club. Stay out of my brain journal.
I'm non-binary.
I mean, anti-girl club.
The character arcs are great. Bot's development is so engaging, the trans allegory is really well handled, Cabby's meditation on identity and reputation is really brilliant, and even by the end I loved some of her dialogue, and almost every character just had something going on. Now the flaws. I wonder who's safe this episode. It's unfortunate that Silver Spoon and the whole inner flame concept just wasn't explored as much as it could have been, especially considering Silver Spoon was a finalist, and in Season 2's finale, yes, the show also has a weird timeline, it feels completely waved off and ignored with one line of dialogue by Candle, and they were both great characters throughout Season 3. Then there's Nickeloon.
Oh boy!
I really do think these two are great and still do now at their current state, but their arc should have ended earlier in the show or at least had less scenes. The amount of screen time these two get is just too much, and while I do like slow burns and I get what they were going for with how stubborn these two were, especially Nickel, I still think it lasted a bit too long. And lastly, the final few episodes are the weakest of the season. It feels rushed. Instead of making the writing season focus on a writing heavy end, they decide to go, wait, we have to do something grandiose, let's kill the host. I do love the MePhone 4 moments in Season 3, especially with "You can't do this forever," such an insane statement both in-universe with what MePhone 4 is confronting with himself, and a meta-commentary on how object shows can't be done forever in the state that this show was in when it was written before Season 2 was even finished. But the final episodes just don't do it for me. Springy's concept is cool, but it doesn't feel like they thought them out as much as they did compared to 1. Cobbs, and 2. Concepts that were much better fleshed out in Season 2's final episodes. The whole ending just doesn't feel as resolute, which is unfortunate because I really do like this season. For all its flaws though, it still did really well what it tried to be. I'm gonna go give this a B tier. Now I would talk about Season 4. Now is there actual baby slop in the OSC? Yes. Will I call these shows out? No, because they're probably being made by babies. I'm not—
This is not animation. This is just a glorified sideshow.
Object shows are so funny because some people in the OSC who are probably kids are overly concerned about liking it. The funny shit ever is when someone says, oh, they said object shows are for babies, and show book dying or something. Like, that's just— object shows, while some of them try to be the most serious thing ever, are kid shows, but like Steven Universe and Adventure Time are kids shows, and some Adventure Time episodes have changed many people's lives, young and old. It certainly changed mine. I started YouTube covering Adventure Time. I'd say II is on like the level of Steven Universe, maybe a bit lighter, and like BFDI overall is like Phineas and Ferb, but maybe more. I don't know, I kind of just accept the fact that sometimes this media is made for kids. I'm not really too overly concerned about it, and this should be obvious, but some people need the reminder that kid shows do not mean only kids can watch it. There'll be something there for kids, but there'll also be topics for teens, adults, anyone who is able to enjoy and analyze media further. Some people are either too concerned that it's made for kids, so they show like dark, serious moments, which is again really corny, and some people say that since it's a kids show, flaws can just be ignored. Like, no, I'd want the show, for kids or not, to be good. Most object shows are for kids, but most of them are also free to be enjoyed by any age, and most of them have writing choices to actually look into, and it's fun to talk about. Too many people are concerned with the fact that something like an object show is for kids, but like...
Solid storytelling is solid storytelling. You should watch excellent kids TV. You gain nothing from categorically writing off an entire genre.
Okay, now moving forward, I'm gonna talk about various different shows. The thing is with these shows, most of them don't even have a season completed, so like, I can't really do a long season by season breakdown, but I'm just gonna get my thoughts out there. This one is great. Before I get into everything I love about the show, the music taste all throughout. Intro by Black Country Road, and that new trailer having 2112 by Geese and Machu Picchu by The Strokes. Holy shit, this is awesome. Anyway, the sci-fi concept for the show just makes it stand out from the rest. I love how open it feels. Each character feels so much like their own too. I completely buy every dynamic and relationship shown in this first multi-part episode. Charger Block and Crown's best friendship, with both having slightly different personalities that do genuinely go well together. Sean and Michael's very contrasting personalities and budding conversations are genuinely so fun to watch and absorb. Like, their dynamic is genuinely so good, and the few scenes we've seen of Pipe Bomb are awesome. I can't wait to see what more the show holds. I said genuinely like thrice there. While I wish these episodes released quicker, watching them is genuinely some of the most fun I've had watching a story-based object show. That theme too goes so hard. A tier.
3, 2, 1, fight!
Hey, you should watch this one if you haven't heard of it. So an object show that is competition-based but set in the real-ish world where the characters just happen to be objects and there's not really any death or recovery centers. You expect it to be some kind of HFJ1 with like consistently serious storytelling, but like, not really. Fight for Fortune is hilarious because everyone is a jerk to each other. These characters' personalities are also distinct from one another. Like, this uses a small cast so well. Star and Mike's dynamic as host is really good. Their little moments with each other are awesome. Really, the drama, not the movie, throughout this whole show with the constant fights and bickering just proves how strong a script there is here. The style of this show is also so different. Like Love of the Sun, this just proves that an object show can still be great and look different. There's actual effort put into animating and framing the scenes. The challenges are all really unique and specific. Dollar's my favorite character, and I'm so excited to see what'll happen with her and Mirror. Like, the pairings in this show are so freaking good, and again, an object show where the characters don't feel like copy-paste from BFDI characters and feel actually new and unique is rare to see considering how large object show casts are. The paintbrush confessional bit from episode 2 was also really funny. B tier for the show. I feel like the show could easily have a higher tier with more episodes. Okay, I love this one, but I do have certain comments. Yes, everything about this, animation, writing, dialogue, great, yes, great. The songs are all great, they're each really nice, and there's something about an object show where the main focus is death, interconnected individual lives, and the grieving process. I had a conversation with a friend after watching the show about how incredible indie animation could be and how free they are to cover different topics that they want to, but I want to talk more about that in the outro. Anyhow, I think part 1 is fine. I think the short murder mystery episodes being slightly comedic but some character reactions being really serious gives the illusion that it's going to be like any other quirky story-based object show before quickly hitting you with part 2's emotional dynamism. The investigation, really the entirety of part 1, is a great way to interweave the stories of all these characters who each lost somebody in that one night, and it's so heartbreaking to see how that night each affected them. I love all these episodes, but especially All the World and You and Me moved me the most. The backstory of these characters and how they both manage to continually uplift yet enable each other so they can get through the worst of circumstances respectively makes what would happen in the actual night so much more heartbreaking. The song for this episode is also easily my favorite. Holy shit, the build up to the cutoff at the end is so brilliant. Rewind replay is a close second though. Lastly, I do want to comment about that last episode. In my opinion, I would have rather had the reason for GPS's murders be ambiguous. Listen, I get the explanation with Ring and the virus stuff, but again, I kinda love the perspective of episode 4 and 5 and even Top Hat scenes in episode 6, where the reason for what happened that night starts to not matter less and less, but that Top Hat has the will to live and continue through what happened that night and accept both the good and bad parts of GPS that he saw. I really do love stuff like the one last dance scene, and again, Top Hat moving on in episode 6, and maybe it's me expecting something from the show, but what the show is trying to be is completely different, but I would have still rather had this happen. Like, I love how bitter, sad, and open-ended Spray Paint's ending was. Also, yeah, the first part isn't really that built up because it was released daily for some reason, but I think that first part being so short, like a small little night causing something that lasts so much longer, is like a kinda unintentional decision that works well with the themes of the show in my opinion. A tier show. I watched this whole show before watching 5 Secondly Object Show and Battle for Grandma. Battle for Grandma I'd put like low C tier, and 5 Secondly I like seasons 2 and 3, seasons 1 and 4 are whatever, but Bean's show, that's a whole big thing. So I'd like to say that I find the show really funny. Is it random quirky stickman is Tumblr bait humor? Yes, but like the way the jokes are done with the voice acting, the faces, the animations, I like this.
No, no, no!
Is it true?
This song randomly happening in the first episode is one of my favorite jokes in the series because it completely threw me off guard the first time I saw it. Also, all the songs are pretty catchy and great, and the serious stuff the host crashed out in the first episode establishing how intense eliminations are was really cool, and Bean is one of the most unique hosts in the OSC. There are two things with Bean as a host that just makes him different. The first is his attempts to use his power for good in like the cliche object show way, but failing and instead getting better at killing his annoying ass contestants is a really clever way to twist that object show dynamic of the powers hosts have. And the second thing is how that's linked to his overall mental health and mood swings, something that's not really covered well in most object shows. Anyway, another thing I like about the show is how colorful the cast is. Balloon, Moneyman and Banana, CD, Glasses, Marker, Rock, Spellbook, and Paper Towel Roll Jr. are some of my favorites. That's a lot of favorites. Some of the jokes here like,
I was just eliminating him! This is terrible!
Object shows are too tough!
Ooh, I can do that too. You put your right foot in, you take your right foot. I'm a bit of a dancer myself, you know.
Mustard gas.
It's okay that we lost, team. Losing can always help us in our darkest moments.
Losing makes me want to kill myself.
I could show much more. There are so many good moments. The newest episode with every host, especially Beer, is so good. I do think the criticisms of like random characters just leaving and reappearing when convenient, and the fact that like the show's reason for happening is just to happen, there's no prize, so the tension and death and all the eliminations is kinda pointless. All those criticisms are valid, like especially Marker leaving due to malaria. That upset me because I loved her presence throughout the show. Anyhow, I'd give Bean's show a B tier. Okay, this is one of the funniest object shows. The predecessor to this, Object Fool, is fine, funny, fun, funny, Kane's Cup Audition, funny.
Why is he cutting the dish? What?
C tier. But Animatic Battle, there is something about this show, bro. The unparalleled energy of the show is the constantly beating heart among its 64 different characters. There is so much going on, it's like BFB pre-split turned up to 11. Caffeination Day is such an interesting episode where the host is genuinely just a threatening presence, and contestants who are so vastly different have to deal with it in the most incompetent ways possible. I think 4A, I don't know if this episode is frowned upon, but I really do love how this manages to mix in the jokes with the plot. There's like serious lore stuff emerging alongside the well-placed jokes, it's great. This show is also the origin of this.
Thank you for saving me. I was so thirsty.
A lot of people don't like the show for apparently causing others to create really awful clones of it, like shows with larger casts with random quirky referential humor with Forsaken type writing, but like, especially the first scene, to me this just feels like it was inspired by and an extension of BFB pre-split, and like, it's an indie online community. I already talked about why those communities are like that. Anyway, I don't have much else to say except go watch this show because it's really fun. Flower and Pot are goated, B tier. Yet another story-based object show set in the real world, and yes, there's one episode, but I really want people to pay attention to it because holy shit does it look good. A show set in the 1970s in this fictional city, and I haven't seen an object show go the realistic live action feel like ever. This is so different and unique and feels like its own. I love the character designs, they each feel so specific and fitting for the characters. I love the soundtrack, especially that outro that goes bow, bow, bow. I want to talk about the dialogue because while I do feel like at some parts they could fix the pacing, like there's a bit too much time, like milliseconds between each line different characters say, like they could be a bit faster, but other than that, I really love it because there's this more adult feel to it, and not just because this show is for more mature audiences. Like my favorite scene from this pilot is the ending scene with Mike and Stick Shift because there's just a perfect microcosm of their characters here. Really all the characters throughout this pilot are pretty good, but this scene specifically is just impeccable. Stick Shift's off-putting yet relatable awkwardness and Mike's determined forceful confidence creates this very uncouth, ineffable, and romantic aura in the scene, and I genuinely just love what this scene suggests about both characters, and it is so subtle and nuanced that it gets me really excited for what the future this show holds. There was a Kickstarter for this show that ended the start of April and it was thankfully funded, and I plead everyone to keep watch of what this show will do because it genuinely seems so fascinating. B tier, but really just for now because there's only one episode, it could easily be much higher. Do you get it? Okay, this show gets dark, like really dark. I love how the show looks, the cast and the backgrounds are so colorful. I really hope they draw more areas and environments because I'm so interested to see what they do with the look of the show. Some sequences are so beautiful, this zoom out to a long wide shot is wild. I love the characters like Average Sheet being a homage and parody of object camps, that's so good. As someone who has competed in a grand total of 1 object camp, the jokes are really funny, and again an acknowledgement of the communities built around object camps is just awesome. Besides that, this whole cast is so full of personality. I love the Soy because he's the Soy, Balsamic Vinegar is really cute, Shrimpy, Movie Star, and Party Mob are iconic, and Windows for Workgroups is shaping up to be a W lore-heavy host. This show is such an easy win. Very few object show pilots stand out from the rest of this enormous crowd of creativity. This is one of them, B tier. I can't wait for more episodes. Now for some reason the show predicted the future and knew that I'd make this video shouting it out because for some reason I am in the special thanks. I don't know how they did that. Okay, so I tried my best to say unique things about each show. Here's some shows I'll go through real quick before like my thesis on the OSC. It's time for that. This definitely deserves its own segment, but I'm gonna be honest, I need to rewatch this one. I've seen this fully twice, and yes, I appreciate the cast, the stylistic choices, and creativity. Like, they do so much crazy stuff behind the scenes, and I do get the story. I just really need to rewatch it to get a better feel and really establish my opinion on the show. B tier for now. Object Cringe remake. Now this show is some of the funniest writing I've seen. All the jokes are so good and like online savvy. It's really funny.
Oh, I don't understand that joke. There isn't even any 6'7" in it. You know what? I don't even think 6'7" is funny. What? White people be like, I don't think 6'7" is funny. I told you I'm insecure about being white. You still don't think 6'7" is funny? Huh? Is it still not funny?
But it's also coupled with some of the best emotional character writing. What I've seen from this show, by the way, is episodes 1 to 13. Like, I stopped after Cosmic Cringe because the episode started looking like this, but I've heard so many good things. Like, apparently Good Grief, a scrap movie for the show, is like one of the greatest, most emotionally powerful things from the OSC, and I haven't seen it yet, but if others are saying they've cried to it, I mean, that merit alone feels like the show has done its job of making people feel like they matter. C tier, I need to see more episodes. Lakeside Party, this is another new one. While I appreciate how unique this looks, I feel like this is gonna be a really nice, chill object show whose style will be appreciated all throughout. I'm gonna be honest, not my favorite thing, but people really seem to love it, so I'm glad it's out there. C tier. Wish on a Star, heavily pre-split inspired with that fantastic spark that really captures how magical that vibe was. The characters are really funny, Rook is goated, I love his character, and the jokes are really, really sick. C tier. The infamous object show, this is one of the weirdest ones out there. The soundtrack is like live music performed by a band, and like each character is so strange, but honestly the vibe it has is really unmatched. Any statement I can give will undersell how insane it is. Please go watch this one just for the experience of seeing it. It may really be up your alley. I'll give it a C tier. Showvember. OSC legends gathering together to create some really wild, insanely funny short episodes is awesome. This is one of the funniest things I've ever watched. A tier. Green Ice Cube.
I liked it.
B tier. Alright, for all I said about my opinions on the OSC, I really do think this community is something beautiful. Like, I wanted to talk more about the Nightly Manor earlier and how it covered themes of grief, death, and the insane interconnected stories that somehow managed to unite incredibly different people. Only an indie animated series can cover all these topics with storytellers, animators, audio editors, and an overall crew that still have control over their own show. In a way, what I said last about those themes in Nightly Manor can apply to the whole of the OSC. Amazing, talented individuals connected to make something truly creative, truly their own. Say what you will about the OSC, but they are one of the most ever-present, passionate communities there are online. Like, some people genuinely go crazy and do as much as they can to tell the story they want to tell. From the moment Carrie and Michael created Battle for Dream Island, the show from these two inspired, creatively determined kids, they started this massive earthquake of a creation that shook up millions and said, yes, you can create the art you want to make. This idea of inspired creativity is just so awesome to me. I've always believed that art itself is an experience. Why do we go outside with friends and say, wow, last night was like a movie? Well, to quote CGDX for the millionth time, it wasn't like art, it was art. That experience of creating, of making, of getting together to form something beautiful, truly communal, is what the best of the OSC has been defined by. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. My Patreon is open if you want to support. I'll probably open YouTube membership soon, so that's another way if you want to support these videos. Sorry that I didn't mention Object Havoc, and Object Show 87, and Paper Puppets Take 2, and Supernova Specialization, and Alphabetical Objects, and Triangular Tournament.